All right, guys, good afternoon, and welcome to the Monday midday session. Let me just go ahead and get the screen shared, as I forgot to do that. And wanted to just record this midday session, maybe just the Monday sessions, as long as it doesn't blow up my computer. We'll see if we can do it here. I think I should be sharing now. All right, cool. So nice recovery. We do have a little bit of a move back here after this morning we basically been straight up, and I reiterate that it is much. It seems to be just much better trading days for what we've seen recently when we start the day and we're a little bit under pressure. We can basically move up pretty decently from there. What are they doing there in Melly? That looks like some puts being bought and some calls being sold, possibly. So it looks like a bearish trade there in Melly. If you remember, we saw some September Melly calls probably about 3 weeks ago. Going out. But yeah, so I keep an eye on the VIX here. The VIX, which was well bid all morning pre-market, and then that was basically the highs the first 5 minutes. Same thing with VXN, but it's starting to come back here a little bit. Maybe just after the European close. Let's just take a look at European markets, and then we'll go over some of today's action. I will wait till that comes up here on Bloomberg. So we were just interested to see where this closed. The Euro stocks were down about 1.4%. The DAX was, yeah, I mean, it really didn't come back from the lows. You could see that. So still, the international markets are continue to really trail, the U.S. market. So I would have liked to see it come back a little bit further, Europe. So for the time being, it's tough, right? I mean, there's a lot of nice movers that we've picked up on. I think we're doing an awesome job at finding the names that have momentum to them and are really going from from low to high. I think the names that I called out that were on my watch list this morning, to go back to the analysis and charts channel, which you should be able to find that there. And I'm going to continue to kind of put why they're on my watch list, but I had Micron, which I jumped into. That is a winner. I'm just kind of trying to make it a big winner. HDP, which was also a winner. Booking, I think, is doing. I'll go over some of these charts as I'm bringing this up. But Micron, I thought, was a nice play considering it's already kind of sold off a bit, and they've got, and this is a name that I think usually goes up into earnings. And it is about flat. I mean, I bought it right around the lows of the day. It's just having some difficulty showing any momentum and trying to get into value. So I would like to hit another target in this one, but if not, I'm okay holding. I kind of forced one target already. This was a trade I got into for what, 65 cents or something like that, 68 cents. I'll go over to trades. Yeah, that was the first, $1.60. Sorry, I'm thinking of the wrong thing. $1.60, and I took a target at $1.85. Yeah, the IWM was a real nice trade that was also on the watch list. This has worked, so kind of take a note of this. It's now worked for me, I think, 3 different times where I've played IWM. Basically, wow, geez, this thing really took off. I got out of it up. I looks like I left some on the table here. But I bought it right on the first bar into value, weekly calls, and I took it off at the top of value. I was just looking for this thing to get, I didn't want to be greedy. I was just looking for it to get to value. Maybe I should have left the final piece on, but it's now worked 3 times in a row. Whenever we've got those tariff headlines and trade headlines that are weighing on the overall tape, this IWM seems to be a great place to come back to, and it's green on the day. Same thing with mid caps, by the way. Mid caps are just slightly in the green as well. So that continues to be my go-to trade in the indices whenever we've got that. We're down on basically headlines on trade tariffs, what have you. So real nice play into that one. I wish I would have held it a little bit longer. HDP, I don't know if anybody got into this one. This was the one that I was saying that there was a headline right before the open. I think this looks pretty good. I might actually start a position here, even though I didn't get it on the absolute low of the day. But I like this play, and I like the fact that they're going out to November too. This chart is just the price is just above the 200-day moving average. That's why I don't mind chasing it. Friday was when we saw the call activity, but I think this thing could get going. It's another one of the application software type data names, and it's been doing nothing for a while. So that call buyer has got some people kind of woken up in the name. So, and again, it's a name that's under $20. So you can just buy stock too if you don't really want to mess with the options. But I think the November options look pretty good. Google was on my watch list. I did not play Google, but I like the note out by Citi that got very little attention. I don't think a lot of people noticed it. I put it out on Twitter, but in addition to the JD news, but very, very strong for Google. They made a note out, which I thought was very positive, that that their revenues may be higher than what's expected. That's usually a good thing. That they might actually need to up their guidance for revenues. Let's see if I have that whole. I don't know if I have the whole note now. And of course, they're all over the news with that investment in JD.com, which I think is a positive. Yeah, I can't even find that note. It's also Google shopping service improved how it showed rivals. Yeah, there was this. This came out. I'll look under the news under Hortonworks. So sometimes Bloomberg puts out a note. I can't even find it. Oh, here it is. Alphabet has possible second quarter revenue upside after checks, Citigroup's. And the note did come out about 10 minutes later, the full note. I don't. Alphabet may have modest upside, but anyway, that was a catalyst enough for me in this one. What else did I have on my watch list for the day? This PAGS, not yet, which is fine. I have Zuo. I'll bring that chart up, and I'll talk about the momentum IPO names. This thing is continuing to go higher. Was really well bid right on the open. I don't know if anybody's got a chance to see that Mad Money special. I caught up this weekend. I was out Thursday night, so I missed the whole Mad Money special. I wish I would have watched it because it went up huge on Friday. But he had the CEO on of this company and talking about subscription, the whole subscription model. I think he's actually got a book out called Subscribed, which I actually want to order because it's pretty interesting. But I thought the interview was pretty cool. So if you have it on DVR or if you even go to the CNBC app, you can pull that up. But I like the name. I think it's one to try to chase a little bit. And again, just like we talked about with Sogo, I talked about how to play Sogo about 2 weeks ago. When right in here, and I chased and I bought 100 shares. I think in here actually, my cost basis is under 11. But just to maybe take 100 shares, go long 100 shares. Now, I mean, if your normal size is larger than that, maybe take a quarter size position just to kind of get involved. Speaking, and while I'm at it, I'll bring up the other names. Let's see what this whole momentum group looks like. IQ did not take out Friday's high, but again, some of these, they look like some of them are a couple of reversal bars. But notice the price is not taking out that 5-period moving average. So it could, some of these candles can look funky. Let me go back to SOGO. But I think as long as they're not taking out that 5-period exponential moving average, that yellow line I've got on my charts, I think you stay with them. And you could see this SOGO is, this looked like a really toppy looking candle, but it's doing fine. Crude is also grinding higher. Of course, DBX, 3 days now of big gains. So congrats if you're in that one. Really, really nice move. Up another 6% today. Might as well cover box, since Dropbox and box. So I did take a target right around the highs of the day because it's so close. I mean, it's, I said when I put this trade on last week that I want to get this thing to the top of value, but I mean, it got darn near close enough for one day. So I took more profits. I might decide to roll the remaining of this out of July and maybe into a little bit further out calls. Just because I do get a little bit nervous or a little bit antsy holding front month calls, which July is now front month. And we have what? We have one less day because of 4th of July. So, you're getting cheated out of one day. I always like to do this. It always puts things in perspective. Sometimes when you're holding, front month calls, because obviously in front month calls, that's where the theta decay is the highest, right? So you're basically, if the stock doesn't move, you're basically swimming against the current. So we got today's the 18th. So after today we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. You got 23 trading days. Yeah, it is a long cycle. So I guess that's actually a good thing. Yeah, what did I say, 23 days? That's not bad. Some Twitter calls, those are not swept going up. So you got 23 days. So that's actually not bad. That makes me feel, usually it's, you got 18 days. Business days. Yeah, I think because also the first Friday of the month fell on the 1st of the month. So we kind of got gypped in June. So this way we get we've got more, even though there is the 4th of July in there. So thank you. That makes sense. So again, always good to count if you're in July calls. You want to be a tourist in those calls. You don't want to be in them for too long. So real nice play in that one. So yeah, so I'll think about doing something, even though that we got a little bit more extension, a little bit longer time in the July calls. But really, really excited with that one. Also Workday, which I decided to take a target in there as well from last week. Kind of hesitated a couple days when I put that trade on. I think I put that trade on Tuesday last week. So maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then today, we'll see where it maintains. And then again, a lot of the enterprise, I think Adobe's actually doing pretty good. So I mentioned that, maybe to wait a day or two after earnings. I guess sometimes the stronger names, you don't need to wait the 3 days. Adobe started to go up as well. VIX is still looking a little bit jumpy here. This is another small trade I put on last week, a team. And I'll stick with the T's. TWOU, which was on my watch list going into last week, also is just on the cusp of possibly breaking out in this one. Take Two, I did put on a trade in this one. It's not doing much. I thought this one would come back, like some of the other tech plays that we've seen from the lows, but it really hasn't. It's still down 1.4%. Still, even though I just bought weeklies, I might add to it. I think it's just a matter of time. Sometimes these could just be it's taking the day off. So maybe I could also switch out of the weeklies and maybe go to the monthlies. Sticking with the gamers, ATVI is actually doing fine. It looks like Take Two's got the weakness. EA even rebounded, so the one I picked did not rebound. I'm still in a few of the ATVI call spreads, by the way. We'll turn to some of the option activity for the day. Teva, I talked about this name a couple times last week as I mentioned I wanted to add to it while it was coming in. Fortunately, I did not get a chance to get the price that I wanted, but that's fine. I'm still in my January calls, and I think I think the chart looks great. And I'm pretty sure they came in and bought more, even though it traded against open interest. That's Teva. The other one in the space that's been acting very well is the ENDP, which is also up another 2%. Looks great. I'm shooting for that purple line up there. In my shares that I own, I did take a target last week, and it's now over that target, so up above $9. So it looks good to me. I'll kind of just jump around here a little bit, but there was a little bit of calls in the banks. I think the banks are getting pretty washed out. I did put an alert on Citi. I did not get it yet. Go to the 5-minute bar. It has not been able to get to the 6660, which is Friday's high. So it doesn't look like it's quite ready yet, but it could jump out of that value area at any time. But you could see a lot of consolidation there. And then the other one, which I'm actually leaning towards instead of Citi, is Wells Fargo. I think the chart in Wells Fargo looks a little bit better, and we've seen more call activity in Wells. I think if this can get above the 200, which this is not dividend adjusted, but again, still, some of these you could wait for confirmation. You don't have to try to pick the low. Wait for a little bit. Considering that these names have done nothing, I'm more comfortable with waiting for some confirmation rather than just say, hey, I'm just going to buy it because it's down. I think this is on everybody's mind. When are these banks going to get going? I'll wait. I think if we get back above that 200-day moving average, will probably be my buy signal in Wells, which, by the way, it's a pretty flat-looking 200-day moving average. And BAC, very small calls. I mean, we almost see BAC calls, like a little bit of them almost every day. But that's also holding 200. Speaking of the 200-day moving average, Raytheon, I put on a small trade in Raytheon. I did not send this out as an alert because I just didn't put that big of a trade on. But I think it's worthy of giving this a shot here versus seeing if the 200-day moving average will hold. I thought it was too early to do it here. You got a little bit of confirmation that the 200-day moving average is holding. And that's my favorite way to play this name is to sell put spreads. So basically a bullish trade, a bull put spread, selling. I sold right at the money July put spreads. What else? We saw Square weeklies go up. Square is just moving up very nicely. And then we also saw a little bit further out in there some PAH puts. Yeah, all kinds of weekly stuff going up. Looks like some July 65 puts may have been sold there. But it was these weekly sweeps. Also the June 29th calls also bought in this one. Since we're looking at Square, might as well look at PayPal. Friday. I believe the yeah. I'm going to go over RRC too. I don't think OPEC increases production at meeting this week. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Friday. If anybody thinks differently, but I saw it on the calendar for Friday. We gotta wait all the way to the end of the week for that one. PayPal's still trying to push and break out. What a huge move this has been since the 200-day moving average bounce. But I think can still go. So that's that. And then the other name that I had in the newsletter, which just is not ready yet, it looks like, is this PAGS. So I still have a target, not a target, an alert set at 34.14. Considering it's down so much, you could also think about maybe starting a position and then adding if it does get to that alert. I was toying around with that earlier, considering it's down so much. Yeah, the trade that I liked, and we've talked about this name. I think a lot of you kind of looked at this name last week too. Is RRC having a nice day? So I did take a swing trade in RRC, and I bought what they bought. These are the September 17 calls. Pretty simple trade, I think. You've got the 200. You got to move above the 200-day moving average. You got to move above the value area. You could let either one of those be your stops. I would probably just so there's a little grace below the 200. Maybe let that call it 16 be your stop price in RRC. But I like the fact that we took a VPOC out here, and just a little bit of reversion after taking that. I never like to enter a trade when a VPOC is taken out. As a reminder, that's an area where a lot of volume has occurred where we haven't returned. So I'll give this thing a shot now. It's been a name that's been hanging in there pretty well. It's shown some nice relative strength. There was also a little bit of XOP calls that went up today too, into weakness. So, this group, I think, just like we were talking about the banks, if you're looking for something else that's a little bit beaten up, I think it's not a bad place to do it. It's, not to go crazy with buying 5 different names in the group, but maybe dipping your toe and buying one of those names. QNTD, very nice. Congratulations on this name, JW. 960 is a level to pay attention to next. So again, here is a good example of a VPOC. Hit it, reverted a little bit further, couldn't hold. So you got another one up here. Let's see what this looks like on the weekly chart too. Nice base, by the way. Yeah, and a nice move above value on the weekly chart. So what's that level that I mentioned? 960. That could be a good place to take another target, or take a target. Yeah, 960. There goes some BAC calls. Those are not swept. Here were the XOP. Those were the ones that I was looking at earlier, which I don't think I have on my list. I forgot to put that in here. It was pretty much right after the RRC. There's also a little bit of beta that went up. That name's holding in there. Downgraded, double downgraded the day after earnings, which it didn't make sense to me why they did that. After decent earnings. Speaking of XOP, there goes, these are labeled tied. Calls and puts. Oh, and how could I forget Tesla? Tesla weeklies. That was the first order that we saw right on the open. They went after the dip on Tesla. Yeah, on the highs, Tesla. But they, I wish that they would, like, whoever reports. Of course, Tesla was in the news this weekend or on Twitter. because somebody, Mary McCormick, right, who's an actress, talked about her husband's car being on fire. You know, geez, look at this thing go. I think we noticed this on this bar as well. Now legging higher, but Tesla gets has always been under the microscope whenever there's like an accident, and it's kind of, I think, unfair. As much as sometimes I'll talk negative about Tesla, but I really just think it's unfair whenever people love to take pictures of anything that goes wrong with a Tesla. GM cars, Fords, they get into accidents, have issues all the time. You never see anybody post a accident or a car fire in GM, although I've seen them on the road. I've seen car fires. So, it's one of those things to kind of put in perspective. So somebody, I think, was right on it this morning and bought calls, the first order we saw of the day. A couple other names. I think GBT was coming back earlier. Kind of just skip around from sector to sector. Now up $2.50. So I did add to this name on Friday, and it's working out for me, up $2.50. So good. Retracing some of that ugly move on Friday. And then also Sarepta's up huge again, I believe. Well, it looks like it's off the highs, but it got going again. What else did we see today? There goes some DNR puts going up. I think we covered the bases. IWM is now back in red, just slightly negative on the day. Yeah, I think that's it for as far as my trades. Just see what Micron's doing, and I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna try to record these on Monday, the midday sessions. So I'm going to stop that recording right now. Let's just see where Micron is. Still cannot get into values. I think that was smart to take force a target.